First and foremost, apologies for if you hear a bunch of fan and wind sound. It's because it's hotter than hotter than hell in Texas, and AC fans, all that stuff going on, and then of course the computer going to run a little bit harder because of it needs cold air. I know how it goes, but anyway, this is a paid request from Jonathan. Thank you so much for your kindness and as well as for your patience. I'm sorry it's taking so long. I'm trying to get to them as soon as I can, but thank you, man. Hope you're doing well. Really appreciate it. For anyone that wants to request any type of movie review, re-review, random thoughts, streams, commentaries, video game playthrough for an hour, a full playthrough, tier list ranking, random tier, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. Do have a Cash App as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. And I literally have to do this since fucking every day is like a damn 100 degrees. I think hell would be a fucking refrigerator compared to Texas nowadays. And speaking of which, From Hell. Maybe that's why I keep thinking of hell so much. From Hell is the movie I'm talking about from 2001. Which is based on a comic book which I am familiar with. I have flipped through. I don't own it, haven't fully read it, but I know enough about it that it did seem like an interesting tale by Alan Moore, the same writer who did Watchmen and all these other comics back in the day. Now, From Hell went through a little bit of a history where certain actors were up for the role. Alan Moore at one point said he wanted Sean Connery. I don't know how true that is because, I mean, Sean Connery was in the lead of, well, I mean, who knows? Maybe he really wanted Sean Connery for this, but then eventually Sean Connery starred in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So maybe there's some connection with that, where Sean, I don't know. But Alan Moore wanted Sean Connery as the lead. That didn't happen. The directors, the Hughes Brothers, who did Menace to Society and Dead Presidents, they talked to Brad Pitt. They wanted Daniel Day-Lewis. That didn't happen. That didn't work out. And eventually they got to Johnny Depp. Now, for those who don't know, From Hell is a graphic novel that is a fictional tale involving Jack the Ripper. And what if Jack the Ripper and his involvement in these crimes, killing these hookers, were related to the British royal family, and they knew about it, and in the movie, the Freemasons, and conspiracy cover-up, all that stuff. She's trying to give a different twist to the Jack the Ripper tale. Now, Johnny Depp is the star. He is a detective named, I'm going to butcher this name, Abberline? I think it's Abberline. He's an inspector. Heather Graham is in the film as one of the London prostitutes. Robbie Coltrane, who he was in Harry Potter, other stuff, rest in peace to him. He plays a guy working with Johnny Depp's character. Ian Holm is a retired surgeon who works with the royal family. I think, was it Jason Flemyng? Which I've seen him in quite a few stuff. He's a guy working for Jack the Ripper. I'm going to be upfront. I have never liked this film. I know this is a film people like. I know this is a film people defend. This is a film people think is really good, and they don't understand anyone who criticizes it. Hey, teach their own. If I want to see Johnny Depp as an inspector with a bit of a horror tale and twist, I much prefer Sleepy Hollow to this. Sleepy Hollow, I like Johnny Depp's his character more in that one. I like the story more in that one. I like the aesthetic, the direction. I find it very entertaining. I thought it went at a good pace. Thought the ending was worthwhile. Like Sleepy Hollow really is my preferred version of this in a weird way. I know it's not Jack the Ripper, but I mean, it is about a guy that will kill, and although no supernatural stuff in here. Well, Johnny Depp's character does have psychic visions, but one could interpret is that he's having these. He takes drugs, especially opium. He'll also drink absinthe and other stuff. And you can look at it as he's an inspector who, by the use of drugs, his brain is able to figure stuff out. So it's more of him deducing things. Kind of like how Millennium, the TV show with Lance Henriksen. When you look at it, it seems as if, oh, he must be psychic. But Lance Henriksen and others said, no, he's not psychic. It's just that his brain works different from others, where he visualizes and where clues tries to ascertain how this happened and to look through the eyes of the killer, as in by profiling. But at the same time, you cannot get mad at people for thinking, oh, he must be psychic, because the way they're shot makes it seem as if it's psychic. Same with this. Even in this, I still don't know if he's supposed to be psychic, because it was kind of a psychic in the comic, but not really, because sorry, look at my battery. Making sure. Johnny Depp's character, which I think was based on a real person. I think Abberline was a real inspector. Abberline. There was another guy who said he was a psychic, but he was a fake. He said, oh, I'm full of shit, pretty much. At the end of the comic, he says, yeah, I said I was a psychic, but I wanted this and that, and I'm full of shit. So it's like they try to combine those two characters, which I thought was a mistake. And I just wasn't really interested in that take for this tale. So it does look like he's having these psychic visions. They may not be what it's supposed to be happening. That's what it looks like with the way the Hughes Brothers direct the film. I thought this film was fucking boring. I always thought this film was dull and boring. I did when I first saw this film back in the day. I do now. This is a fucking boring ass movie. If people disagree, that's fine. I did not think the investigation was that interesting. The killer you could ascertain very, very quickly if you pay an iota of attention. You even hear the killer's voice and you go, well, that kind of sounds like this person. And it is. And then when you see a few more scenes of this particular actor, you go, yeah, he's probably the killer. And then you'd be right. Just, unless it's just someone completely random you don't know about. Or it's this guy, and lo and behold, it was that guy. So I don't think the mystery of the killer... And here's the thing, in the book, you knew who the killer is from the get-go, so it wasn't supposed to be a mystery. It was just a different type of a tale. Here, they try to make it a mystery. I don't think the mystery was successful, because you're going to guess who the fuck the killer is early on. Johnny Depp's character is not really that interesting. He gets high on opium, ready for fucking White Rabbit to be playing. Feed my hand, feed your hand. I was ready for that fucking music to play. And for the first 45 minutes, it's a hooker gets killed, Johnny Depp looks at a crime scene, some body part was taken. A hooker gets killed, Johnny Depp looks at a crime scene, another part was taken. A hooker gets killed, Johnny Depp looks at a crime scene. That's what it is. Rinse and repeat for like the first 45 minutes of the movie. And then you have a little bit of the hookers and how shitty their life is. Because they're working and their pimps are awful to them. I call them pimps. And that's my money, and fuck you, bitch, and I'll cut your eyes out, and showing just how horrible these women went through in these times of London in 1888. Now, the way they make London look in that time period and the costumes, great job on that. Well, you come to find out, and this is spoilers, because this is a film from 2001. I'll spoil the shit out of it starting now. Heather Graham is one of the London hookers. Someone she knew called Anne was with this guy. You find out that guy is one of the princes to the royal family. And he had this secret marriage with this girl. And then they had a baby. So they got the girl Anne, they lobotomized her, put her into an asylum, or wherever the hell you want to say. The prince they took somewhere because he's going to die soon enough of syphilis. I don't remember what they did with the baby, or if someone else had the baby, I can't remember. Maybe they used it as a fucking basketball, I can't remember. And then they want to kill all the witnesses. Because that baby was going to be an heir to the throne, and it'd be a black mark against the royal family. So they hired this person to kill the witnesses. And that's who, in this story, who Jack the Ripper is. And spoiler, super spoiler, it's Ian Holm. From Alien and among many other movies. I had not seen this film since it came out. So it's not that I was remembering the movie. It's just watching it like it was the first time. I go, well, it's Ian Holm, so it's a recognizable face. He's a former surgeon. He works for the royal family. And what Johnny Depp taught them, he's acted a bit weird and funky. I'm like, it's him. And then he mentions how time before he had these brain seizures. I'm like, okay, he's definitely Jack the Ripper. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm like, if I had to take a guess, if you only give me one guess, that's my guess. And I was right. It was Ian Holm. So, yeah, they didn't really do a good job hiding that. And the Jack the Ripper was hired by the Freemasons to kill these witnesses to help the royal family. There's your story. And Johnny Depp is just either looking around, finding by bodies stems that grapes were on it. And, well, not many people could afford grapes. It has to be someone sophisticated and rich. You have this wank-ass love story between Johnny Depp and Heather Graham, which I don't think was in the comic. It's just really fucking dull and boring. The kill scenes, the very much rinse and repeat, kind of the same thing over and over again. I mean, it's not a slasher film, so you're not going to have all these different unique death scenes. Always going to be a different weapon. Is it? No. Once you see one vision that Johnny Depp does and views, you see them all, because it's like the same type of vision over and over again, the same type of filters. If it was like a film noir mystery, an actual good mystery, maybe that could have been intriguing. Johnny Depp's accent, for some reason, wasn't 100% on. I don't know why. I don't know why. For some reason, I thought it would be more intriguing if Robbie Coltrane was the lead, and Robbie Coltrane was the investigator. Because he was my favorite part. I liked Robbie Coltrane. I liked his character. I kind of wish he was the main focus. I wish he was the main star. I kind of wish he was the lead. But it's really, like, I remember vaguely the story in the comic book being more interesting than this. Maybe I'm wrong, but here it's just Johnny Depp gets the hots for the girl, and I don't give a shit about that love story. women are being killed and killed and killed, and eventually he gets into, Johnny Depp gets one to his high vision points and figures out it's Ian Holm. That's where you get the line where Ian Holm goes, "Some will say I gave birth to the 20th century," and Johnny Depp goes, "You have to see the 20th century." And instead of raising the gun and shoot, you have to walk, because apparently guns can only work if you're this close to the person. He's got to walk to them and then shoot, but that gives enough time for someone to knock his ass out. Why they don't immediately kill him and blame it on the Ripper, I don't know. Like, right then and there, they could kill him, slit his throat, dump his body somewhere, blame it on the Ripper, and go about their business. It's a Freemason whole group that could clean the whole fucking thing up. For some reason, they gotta take him into a carriage. I don't know where the fuck they were going with him. Tied up, and then you have like the one action scene in the movie where he hits the two people there, Johnny Depp does, and the carriage kind of careens and slides a bit. That's like the one action scene in the movie. You know what? It would have been more interesting. I mean, it definitely would have been a different tone. Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes go up against Jack the Ripper. That would have been interesting. You definitely would have to wonder if you could do that with the tone. It had to be a different tone. But I think, some tweet that it can make it work. It can make it work. Like, get the audience to adjust a bit and a bit more darker. But just, the way Robert Downey Jr. plays Sherlock Holmes and Jude Law and the two of them go up against a Jack the Ripper type, something about that would be intriguing to me. This, though, Johnny Depp tries to get to Heather Graham. He thinks she's been killed. Finds some evidence that no, it was someone else, but he hides it. The royal family thinks Ian Holmes' job is done, so they lobotomize him. Robbie Coltrane says, "Well, now you go see her. She wants to meet you. She wrote you that letter." And he's like, "No, I can't, because if somehow, some way they found out she was still alive, they would do everything in their power to kill her, because they don't want witnesses and this cover-up." And then he just overdoses on opium. He just overdoses himself. And he did it on purpose, because he has this thing with these coins, and the coins that you put over your eyes, and it's for the ferryman, that whole thing. He tells Robbie Coltrane about this earlier, because Johnny Depp does this to some of the dead bodies. So he has coins because he knew his friend will do it for him. So he did it on purpose. I can never be with that lady, so I must end my life. What the fuck? I goddamn remember that didn't happen in the comic, where he didn't fucking overdose. Well, first off, I don't think he was an opium addict anyway. And he didn't end his life, overdose himself. I think he was sick. He hated that there was a conspiracy and the police covered it up, and he retired. He quit the force. I'm not saying that would have been the grade A ending to have, but that would have been more satisfying than this. Like, he has to fucking die at the end? What, to be pretentious? Look how artful we are, Shakespearean. We're so Shakespearean, he died at the end. But he was like a Hamlet, or whatever the fuck. Pretentious bullshit on the ending. So I don't really get what there is to like about the film. I mean, the look of London is cool. But what else is there to like? The mystery sucks. You know who the killer is early on. The death scenes all become repetitive. It's the same fucking thing over and over again. And I don't really think there's a lot of style to those death scenes, I should say. The visions, yes, there's style to it. When Johnny Depp has the visions, but they're the same type of style. So if you see one, okay, kind of looks cool. But then you see it 3, 4, 5, 6, times, it just gets old. And like I said, repetitive. Johnny Depp's character, you don't really find out any backstory, anything about his character. Even Sleepy Hollow, the bit with the blood and his mom and his character, where he's very much into the science, like he's an early CSI type of guy. At least that's something to his character. And a little bit of love story he had with Christina Ricci, I bought more than this. I can just the time period and him and Spectre go after a tail. It kept reminding me of Sleepy Hollow and how much I like Sleepy Hollow a lot more than this. And again, the way it changes from the comic, I don't really see much of it as for the benefit. And this film didn't do that well anyway. This came out, it got mixed reviews. I think it made $75 million worldwide and had like a $30-some million budget. $70-some million worldwide isn't that great. Actually, let me check real quick. What was it in the U.S., how much it made? I know there's going to be people disagreeing with me. Okay, $31 million in the U.S. But that's fine if people disagree. Then when we agree to disagree, UTT from hell, I'll keep Sleepy Hollow. So it did debut #1 at $11 million. But then the week after, it dropped to #3. And then the week after that, it dropped to #7. So there you go. Yeah, even Jet Li's The One made more money. But like I said, if people like the film, that's fine. Yeah, I just thought it was very dull and very boring. If there was more like interesting, unique conversations between Johnny Depp and Robbie Coltrane, but there's not. It's pretty much like Johnny Depp explaining to the cops, the bodies and what's going on. I think one weird thing they did is that if you see pictures on the wall, it's the real dead bodies from the Jack the Ripper case. So that's a bit strange to do that. Ian Holm's a good actor, but I mean, I was able to guess he was the killer just like that. Like I said, the first half just kind of the same thing, rinse and repeat, and the second half is just kind of. I guess it depends how you love the love story. I didn't give a shit about the love story. Right, the hooker with a heart of gold and the opium addict. And then, like I said, because of the way they do the story, Johnny Depp doesn't capture the killer. He overdoses. I thought it was fucking stupid. The conspiracy succeeds. They get away with it. No one gets punished. Jack the Ripper, I guess you say, gets punished. He gets lobotomized, but I mean, the other culprits, they all get away with it. I mean, they do in the comic book, I guess, but Johnny Depp overdosed and just kind of twisted that in. I don't know, I didn't care about the story. I didn't care about this movie, and I mean, there are plenty of serial killer films, both with depressing endings like Seven, or not, or a little bit more hopeful, like Resurrection with Christopher Lambert. That's a really good serial killer movie. I like Resurrection. Hell, what was it? All American Murder I like. I mentioned Sleepy Hollow I like. There's a lot of other stuff that I just would prefer to watch over this. So if you like it, that's cool. Just not for me. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.